Hi, everybody. This is John Simon. You are listening to Tangents on Everything and Nothing. Our special guest, Jonathan Balash. It's me as usual, and this time it's only Jeremiah hiding in the corner who's watching your chat, so feel free to send us messages, questions, whatever, and maybe we will, maybe we won't answer them.
Is that video capture device? I don't see mic aux working at all.
It should be, it's that one right there.
Okay.
So we need to close that door is what we need to do. Yay! So, as usual, we're doing things at 100% professional level here, which means somebody's phone ringer is going to go off any second now, Jeremiah.
I'm on vibrate.
TMI. So,
Yep.
As I was saying, what we're eventually going to do is have in one of these corners a little scoreboard to see whose ringer's gone off the most.
Got it.
Guest, mine, Jeremiah's, or Sam. Sam Sturgeon's usually here, but he had a long day making stuff specifically to be sold at Unity. His masks.
Excellent.
Have you seen his masks?
No.
Those things are awesome. Oh, he's typing something. He's typing. I'll worry about it later. Yeah, he has these wonderful. One's dragon. He has an owl, a raccoon. I don't know if he's a raccoon one. Matter of fact, nobody will be able to see it here, but I'll call up a picture.
How do you spell your last name?
We spell Balash.
Okay. That's
Did I misspell it?
No.
I would normally. That's what I do. I'm not good at spelling for anybody who wants to know out there. Anybody who knows me knows that anyway. So, how are things going with all your preparations for the upcoming Spencer Pride?
They are going really great.
Right. Anything you'd like to cover before we go into anything? Any specifics you want to say?
Well, I mean, I hope that everyone comes out to Spencer Pride. This will be our 14th annual, or our 14th festival. Mm-hmm. It would have been our 15th. It's been 15, I say 15 years of celebrating Pride, but 14th festival because we canceled last year's.
Yep. Damn, canceling.
October 16th, Saturday, 12 to 7, but we've also got Pride Week events all week as well.
Okay. What events do we have coming up?
Yeah, so for Pride Week, we've got a fantastic human library event that's going to be on Tuesday, the 12th.
What is the human library?
Human library. What do you think it is?
Well, okay. If you want to know, my abstract mind is going into somebody's literally going to open up with pages and have all this stuff in it, or the person's a complete encyclopedia. Yeah, it could have been a lot creepier. And is going to sit there. You're going to tell them something. It's going to be worse than Google to give you an ad and then tell you what your answer was.
Okay, all right. Well, it's neither of those things.
That's right.
So what the human library is intended to be a way for you to understand more about someone else, another perhaps identity than yourself, by hearing their own lived experience. So what will happen is our attendees, our participants will come in and they'll see all of these kind of human library books, which will be people like myself with labels on us.
Okay.
Cisgender, father, gay, trans, intersex, whatever. Have all these labels on us, and they'll say, I wanna check out a gay cisgender white dude, and then I'll be that person. And then we'll go to the meeting room, and then we'll sit at a cafe table, and we got 10 minutes together, and I get to share my experience and kind of a little bit about myself, so they can kind of get to know a little bit more about my identity.
I think I'm kind of familiar with this program, but I don't remember being called Human Library.
Okay.
It had something a little more like rent a mind or something weird like that.
Okay.
Where you got to basically ask the person about their life, and they would be completely open and tell you, what atrocities they've gone through, what good things they've gone through, and so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's
awesome.
And it's going to be cool too because for example, like my own experience as a gay white cisgender, man is different than the experience of someone who's 30 years older, even if they are a gay white cisgender man, right? And so I think the generational aspect of identity is going to be really apparent in there, as well as the individual LGBTQ identities and the other identities, because it's very intersectional. And so I'm really excited to participate in that one. So that one is on Tuesday, October 12th at 7 p.m. right over at the community center.
Nice. Okay.
We've got a youth pride event, which is going to be on Wednesday, October 13th. They got all sorts of like activities set up and things, but that's for mainly kids 12 to 19, which is the same age group range for our Iris youth group.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a Dine and Donate fundraiser over at Civilian Brewing Corps on Thursday. So
we have not had one show where that place hasn't come up.
well, there's a
We
reason
love
for
you.
that.
We love you guys.
There's a reason for that. They're amazing. Exactly. And so, we're going to be encouraging people to go on over there, drink, eat, spend the day. Anytime that you go over there on Thursday, October 14th, let them know that you're there for Spencer Pride. They'll donate a percentage of that, that meal, that drink or whatever to us. And they've been generous with us in the past. They've done this once before, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah. Civilians has done some wonderful things, been extremely generous. I just did their promo for
I saw
OCCT.
it too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I wanted to I was like, we're going to be serious about this. I mean, I'm open to your suggestions, but I suggest we go in and say, hey, how much you've helped the community, because you guys have helped the community a lot. And Ben looked at me and he's like, well, can we do something fun? And I'm like, yes, we can do something fun. And
yeah, for sure. No, it was good. I liked it.
Awesome. Yeah, some people said that it played a little too much during Frankenstein. It was on loop for like a half hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Playing once every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, so you can be known for being that annoying commercial then,
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
At least it was fun the first time, and partially the second.
So I need to get Ben to let me put out the money shot version. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, interesting.
I didn't do the audio recording because we weren't in a good place. We had too much noise. So they wrote the song. Joe and Joe, hi Joe's, wrote the song and the organ part.
Okay.
And then came and basically recorded the dialogue, and I placed it in. Well, I guess they'd recorded so much they got tired and they had made a fun version of it.
Okay.
And when this is not recording, I'll play it for you.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, 14th civilians, 12th human library. What was there anything going on the 13th?
Yeah, 13th is the youth one.
Yep.
And then all week we'll be open in the community center. So we're typically open Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 7. We'll be open Monday and Tuesday as well. So 11th and 12th will be open. We'll have a couple of raffles, which we, primarily the raffles are going to be open during the festival, but we'll have a couple of them in advance. We've got like a French lick raffle and whatnot.
Okay.
And so that'll be going on there. And there'll be some other things happening during the week, some special promos and stuff. We were actually just screen printing this evening, some fun
nice.
tote bags and things that are going to be,
You say we were
items.
screen printing. Were you physically doing the screen printing?
So, I'm more the intellectual, creative person, less the physical,
Okay.
logistical. I mean, so it entailed 4 volunteers, one of whom is my husband, working hard, and then me interjecting my thoughts about every 30 seconds. And I feel like, that experience, I'm sure, was enjoyable equally for everyone. It yielded
Especially you.
more creative ideas, more beautiful products, and a few random weird errors, but at least they just went with me for a second. I was like,
Okay.
hey, do this thing. And,
So who was doing the physical screen
So
printing?
physically, this happened to be so every Sunday right now leading up to the festival, we've got like physical things that we're doing. So we're like, hey, if you don't want to just come talk about the festival and plan, like come do and so right now we're in that phase. We do that always like the month leading up to our festival every year. So this was one of those evenings. So we had so my husband Jacob is doing some of the screen printing.
Okay.
My mother happened to be there, Kathy. She also was doing some of the screen printing. It was her very first time screen printing. She did a great job.
Nice.
And then Kathy Wyatt, one of our longtime volunteers, was operating the heat thingy that dries them, that cures them. Do you know more technically?
Basically, it's kind of like an iron, but if if you're using the right inks, you're not actually touching. It's just basically
Right, yeah.
You
It's like
place
this
it in
far
there.
away.
It's almost like an open oven. You cure the items. Don't leave it in too long.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
screen printing in the
Okay.
80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably not all that different, but and then we had another volunteer, Catherine, who was actually folding and sorting them by size. So
Nice.
it was a great operation. So yes, they were all physically doing the work, and I was like, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Why don't you do this? So it was good.
Excellent. So whose equipment were you using?
Ours. So
Ours, okay.
Yeah, the Spencer Pride. So right before the pandemic began and lockdown began originally, about 6 months before, we were like, hey, we buy a lot of shirts for the festival every year, and when we had started getting some other kind of random ones for the community center to sell, like fun phrases and things like that. We wanted to get into when we started doing like our Big Time queer shirts and stuff, and so we. We're like, all right, let's invest. Let's get some screen print equipment. Now, this is not like fancy digital. Like this is.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking fancy, it's to the point now to where you take your shirt, you put it in the machine, and it prints it on you there.
Yeah.
It's like a $20,000 machine. People don't touch it.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is not that. We got we create a design. I got a printer. I printed on basically transparency paper. We make the screen itself.
Put the emulsion on
which
there.
I physically did.
Mm-hmm.
I physically did do the like putting the transfer paper on there and exposing it to light and then washing it off, and I was pleased. I did 3 of the 4 of those, so
Awesome,
I have
awesome.
credit for that.
Yeah, that is no different than what I did it a long time ago.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we decided we were going to get into this, and then of course, we were kind of like excited about that first festival, and then we delayed last year's because of the pandemic, and then we canceled it, and then this year's we postponed to the end of the year, so now we've been sitting on this equipment for like 2 years and haven't done much with it. And also it's been upstairs where we've been doing rehab work, so it's been covered with tarps and stuff like that. So it was good to get it out and use it again.
Shout out to whoever's actually doing the physical work on that and lining it up and making sure everything's keyed right.
Yeah,
that is awesome. That was always fun. I did that when I was in high school. I did a little bit once I got out. It's something I kind of want to dabble in again eventually. It's fun, especially now with
a lot of things though.
Name.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I metalsmith. I leathersmith. I do videography, photography, audio recordings, theater, jewelry making. That's part of the metalsmithing. That's part of the metal casting. My specialty is actually in metal casting, and then of course I've done screen printing, airbrushing. Zookeeper. Yeah. We have,
is that a legit one?
Well, we have exotic
your
animals.
own animal. Got it. Yes.
Yeah.
I was.
So
with
it's
that.
probably more hobby farmer because
Okay.
we have atypical farm animals.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, matter of fact, we were talking about somebody this weekend at the fair where they're like, "Oh, I hate birds. Birds scare me." It's like, well, these birds should scare you because they'll look you in the eye. No, I mean they will stand up and look you in the eye. Emus. So.
Yes. Well, I was going to say the emus because those are the feathers that we've got in the cat toys at the community center. Right?
Those are emu and rhea. The rheas are slightly smaller,
right.
more ostrich looking, but definitely smaller.
I'm very familiar with them. I'm a birder, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, those are popular toys at the community center too.
Which is awesome. So, matter of fact, we're sitting there, we're busting our stuff out to try to get it done for Clayshire, and we get the message, "Oh, we need more." It's like, you're gonna have to wait.
We got them quick though.
Oh, we already had 7 on hand.
Okay, right,
so
cool.
so it's like generally keeps kind of a backup, and like, well, let's make sure they have something now, and we'll get the rest later. And we were making all sorts of stuff. So yeah, we for those who want to know, Tangent Creations sold stuffed animals. I was calling them actually our menagerie or our flannel taxidermy.
Nice. This is good. This is good.
So we had all sorts of things. Dragons. One of the favorite ones was these flat ones. We were calling roadkill dragons because there was no stuffing and they were completely flat. Yeah.
No stuffing.
No stuffing.
So it's just.
It was basically
just
2
fabric.
pieces of felt sewed together in the right pattern, and yeah, people loved them. So,
Got it.
Yeah, and next year next year or even sooner, we're going to make them to where instead of them just being flat, they also have colored bits of felt sticking out, like if it's the guts and all that.
Wow.
True
okay,
roadkill.
right. Yeah,
we're going to take it that next step. So enough about me though. This is a show where you're the guest. I'm just supposed to be here and listening. Not really.
You're fascinating though.
Yeah. Well, I tend to talk a lot. So.
That's
Hence the
good.
show.
I was going to say that's good.
Yeah.
It would be really boring if it was silent.
We've had a couple moments where people just like, and they're usually getting tired or something. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you know,
And then it's my job to interject.
you'll
a
wear them
question.
down.
Yeah, that's just your job. So, any booths you'd like to highlight? Any shows on Pride itself?
Pride's going to be amazing,
Yeah.
first of all.
Yep.
I'm really excited. So, this is our first since the whole special events ordinance drama with the commissioners.
Yes.
Right. So, this is when we came out of that endeavor, we said, all right, let's think out of the box, like quite literally, right? Because the box being that square of the courthouse lawn. And our volunteers came up with this great concept that's in the street and really involved with the local businesses, and where our main stage shifts from the lawn to here inside the Tivoli, and so in our second stage used to be in our gathering place in the community center. Now that's in our meeting room, and so we've got those two full venues all day long. Really great, fun, eclectic entertainment happening all day, entirely free. All that entertainment. The festival itself, for those who haven't been before, is entirely admission free. And so, but yeah, we've got a huge marketplace this year, 110 plus vendors right now.
Wow.
Nice.
And we're holding pretty strong there. I mean, we've definitely had some cancellations because people concerned about, COVID, and we've had cancellations because at this point we've carried some registrations from last year, so some folks have since moved out of state or things like that. But I mean, new registrations were coming in really strong. We did very little promotion
Speaking
for
of
vendors.
Is there any more room? Is there any time now to still get a spot?
There is not. There is
Okay.
not. At this point, we are considering that closed. We closed registration last weekend, but we've got a really eclectic bunch of vendors for sure.
Yeah, I ask for not only for the audience, but a friend of mine. They run B-Town Oddities, Beads and Oddities, or Bear Arse stuff. Literally, his nickname is Bear, but it's in Spanish, which is ours or something like that. So he calls himself Bear Ass Artwork. But
Okay, cool.
and he wanted to know because he just found out today, and I'm like, your stuff would be great. They deal with jewelry and oddities, and he's like, I really don't think it is, but I'll ask. So there we go. That's the whole reason.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, doesn't mean that there couldn't be a possibility that we could work something in. Right now, we've already sent the map to the printer, but we don't send the layout of the vendors because I know that always shifts as we approach it. We're sending out vendor information on Saturdays, so if we get cancellations this week and there are openings, I would be willing to consider filling those spots. So if someone was flexible, if they reached out, I'm happy to say we'll hang on to your name. I can't commit to anything at the moment, but
okay. Art, if you're listening, which honestly I know you're not, I'll get that message to you. So
perfect.
Yep. The Tivoli. You guys are utilizing the Tivoli this year.
We are. Yes, it's going to be hopping here. We're really excited. It'll be. I mean, I'm excited, but I think the people who are most excited are drag queens who are used to getting all that garb on, and I can't even imagine the amount of layers they've got, right? Because, I mean, there are layers beyond the layers you see, and all the makeup, and then we say, now, cart yourself out to the south side of the courthouse and dance out there in the June heat. They are ecstatic that they're going to be here at the Tivoli. They've used the Tivoli for years for their dressing room, but they're really excited to be able to be here with a professional stage and lighting and sound equipment and things like that are really high quality.
Any key performers this year for that?
Our host for our drag show continues to be Pat Weave. She's phenomenal. She will also be our reader for Drag Queen Storytime, which will be over at the Owen County Public Library.
Nice.
So this will be the first time that we've actually had it at the public library this year. So we're really excited to be able to have that. That'll be the library itself is going to be closed for Pride. They're letting us use their parking lot for people who are visiting. Yeah. But they'll be open just for Drag Queen Storytime.
Excellent. Nice. Any drag kings?
There will be. Peter Von Teeser is one of them. And that was a late ad, so that's why I kind of looked to the side there, because I was like, that just happened yesterday. So at least that one. And I know enough to know that there can always be surprises in terms of, someone pulling out or
the
joining in.
The lineup can always change, yeah.
Exactly.
Every time I vend at Pride Fest, I always miss the drag show.
Yeah,
Because somebody's got to sit at the booth. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I know that does suck, right? Yeah. It's really hard as I'm planning all the volunteer assignments, which I'm also in the thick of at the moment as well, because I got a lot of volunteers, and of course a lot of them want to see the drag show too, and I'm like, we can't just shut down and go watch the drag show. That's not how it works, you know.
So you have 2 drag shows.
Yeah. This is the kind of stuff I hear. So when we get done with our second floor at the community center, which we're working on, it's going to be a little while before we get the second floor done.
That's a huge room, by the way.
Right.
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
The ballroom upstairs could be the after party, and we could do a drag show there.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Nice.
But not this year.
Well, this is a continuously growing festival. It's been going on again for 15 years, and we've watched it grow. I've personally vended it with Gavin several times, and it's amazing that the small community here has this festival, this gay pride festival. And
Absolutely
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Was it it's the biggest little town one or something?
So
like that?
It's hard because things change so fast. So I would say what I'm confident in is we're the largest entirely rural pride festival in the state of Indiana. Certainly the longest running, small town rural one here in the state of Indiana and potentially in the Midwest. What we do have absolute notoriety for is Spencer, Indiana is the smallest town in all 50 states that has a dedicated LGBTQ center. By far. Nice. So the next smallest town is not a town; it's a city. And so when we opened September 17th of 2016, we transformed Spencer in that way.
Yeah.
So
excellent.
Excited about that. But it's great because we used to say that we were, the only rural or the only small town pride in Indiana. And the beauty of it is every single year we see more and more and more of these events popping up. And we used to be able to say that we attended all of them. And it's kind of bittersweet because I can't say that anymore because there's so many of them. We can't be in all these places. And, we were able to be at some new ones this year.
Was it in 18 or 19 that they started in Columbus?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. So I remember that one coming up, and it was bad timing for us to be able to go to it because again, the same weekend as another event happening. But it was really good to see that, to watch it grow and the knowledge spread.
Correct, and we were just there. They had their event like maybe 2-3 weeks ago at this point. So really, really fantastic event. My husband was at it, and some of our volunteers. So it was really good. They're going strong, and they'll be physically present. Their booth will be here at Spencer Pride. So people who haven't been to Columbus Pride want to know more, they can find out at our Pride. We'll have a variety of Pride festivals represented here. But this year we attended Washington. The town of Washington had their very first Pride ever, and so we helped kind of support that a little bit. And so we try to go where we can, and in addition to physically being there, we do a lot of kind of mentoring and things like that via Zoom or in person, and we're doing that pretty frequently and with great pride to see all these literally and figuratively, but to see all of these smaller communities popping up out there and being willing to be so visible.
Yeah. Okay, a bit of a tangent on the community center. It has computer access for people to do homework, research, play games. Is there anything they shouldn't do on there besides the obvious?
Besides the obvious, probably not.
Okay.
Depending on what your obvious is.
What's the regulations as far as using and utilizing that for the public?
So, we are open Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 7. And so anybody who wants to come in, it's first come, first serve. There's no rules about it. There's no cost to using our computer workstations. It's just high-speed internet. We've also got just free Wi-Fi, so if you just want to come and download stuff to your phone or whatever using some good Wi-Fi, we can be a good place for that. We do have our meeting room, which a lot of local community organizations use. So organizations like the Owen Putnam Friends of the Forest, who will also be at our Pride Festival, but they regularly have their meetings at our meeting room, and others use it for a variety of different things. The Owen County Democrats just did their quarterly meeting event. They had a great speaker come down, and they did it at our meeting room, I think last month. And it's been, especially during the pandemic, surprisingly, the services of our gathering place, which is where our computer workstations are, and our meeting room have been just really wildly popular, where a lot of places weren't open, especially during lockdown, and so we were a place that people could still come to. We weren't necessarily open. We closed ourselves for three months last year, but we would still allow our meeting room to be utilized, and so even U.S. government. So the census team did all their training locally at the Spencer Pride Community Center for weeks and weeks and weeks.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's really great, and it's wonderful to see, because I mean, we're a community center, and it's interesting because a lot of times people who might just stop by the community center who may not have a link to the LGBTQ community, and who might only know the community center as a place where they can get really great locally made items and resale, that they don't realize all these other things that are happening and that the community center is used for. And we're really proud of that. We for us, the reason that we have the retail space is actually not about revenue at all. That's the fourth in the list of reasons why we have a retail space. Is actually about creating reasons for people to come into the community center. So you'll have people who will come in, and they may not ever have thought they would go into an LGBTQ community center because they don't identify as that, they don't know anyone, that's not for me. And then they come in. It gives us the opportunity to expose them to some events or programming that we're doing that they might be interested in. It also gives folks who do know that they need our resources kind of a little bit of a cover, because if you're struggling coming out, or you're having issues, going into this place that's only known for like the homosexuals or something like that, right? Could be intimidating. Whereas you got a bunch of sweet old ladies with white hair coming in and out all day long buying resale and products and stuff, and everyone. We've got a really diverse customer base, but when you've got that much kind of cover, it makes it a lot easier to do that. So those are just a couple of the reasons that we actually have the retail space. So a lot of people don't know that we have these other things that are available. We also have health and wellness services. So we've got free HIV screening that happens on a monthly basis. We've got support groups. So we've got Grief Haven, which is our spousal grief support group. They meet regularly, and that's really been growing in the last few months. Which kind of, not growing because of an increased amount of deaths, but growing because of an increased amount of engagement of people recognizing that this service is there, and it's really heartwarming to see them get together. We've got, of course, Iris, our youth group. We've also been doing, for the past 6 months, we've had a chronic support group for people living with chronic disease, and so that's been really great. It's actually a virtual support group, but people are able to come to the community center if they want to attend in person. But yeah, so those are just a couple examples of the different types of things that we do. We do even more than that, and we'll continue to grow and grow and grow.
Nice. Yeah, I've utilized the couch there a few times. So it's the whole family. Sometimes it's just we're not good. We don't have to be anywhere for a little while. Let's go grab a drink and sit down for a while, or just mess around.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I love being there because, of course, anytime where you pour a lot of yourself into something that you're not getting paid for, right? I mean, we're 100% volunteer, and so the way that, for me at least, the way I get my kind of payment back is the times when I get to really feel our mission like in action. Absolutely. Right? And so like when you see people impacted by what you're offering, and it's amazing because it's this whole spectrum of everything from like someone coming in and like being emotional because you exist. Like it's as simple as just being there. Like in some cases. Now, obviously, that's not enough for other cases, right? And we are that safe place for youth, and we've dealt with youth who are being abused at home, and they come to us as that refuge, and we get them connected with resources and things. And all this, obviously, again, the ways we connect through our mission in so many very specific ways that require a lot more effort. But it's amazing though, just the visibility, the power of the visibility of being there, and how that alone can make a difference in someone's life. Nice. Statistics show that so LGBTQ teens are a lot more likely to commit suicide because of all the crap they have to deal with in their life, right? But just knowing one person who supports them, one adult ally, reduces that by about half. That's the statistic. And so to think that people know that there's this brick and mortar place that they can go to, and they can find lots of adults in there even that can be that one ally. There's not just one. There's a lot of us. And I'd like to think that we can make a difference in that way. I remember years ago, when we were so it was when apple butter was originally on the square before they came back to the square.
Yeah.
And we would go and vend there every year. And apple butter can be a challenging audience for us sometimes, especially on Sunday mornings. It's the hardest. So we have to have like our most like strong volunteers there for it at that time. And so I remember being there with some volunteers on a Sunday morning, and this kid came up, and he obviously kind of like out of wind, with his bike alongside him. And he comes up to the booth, and like I catch him in the eye, and he was he was like, you are here, right? And I was like, yeah, we are. And I'll pause for a second to say, when I tell this story now, the reason why I chuckle a little bit is because I think of that Christmas commercial where like the M&Ms see Santa and they're like, you do exist, and everyone falls over. So as I'm describing that's kind of what I visualized. But for him, it was kind of like what it was. And so he was like, oh, you are here. And he starts turning his bike around, and I'm like, did you want to talk? Like, I mean, like, you were so excited to see us, and you're leaving now. What's up? And he was like, no, he said, I lied to my parents. He said he was gay. He's like, I lied to my parents, told them I was at a friend's house. He rode like 7 miles to get there on his bike. If he didn't turn around and immediately ride that 7 miles back, he would be caught in this lie.
Yeah.
But he heard that Spencer Pride was there, and he couldn't believe that there was this LGBTQ group that was so visible and there at Apple Butter, which is just this thing in the community, right?
Yeah.
And he just needed to see us. And years later, that same kid actually, went off to college and sent us a note and said that we saved his life. That there were many days that he got up in the morning, and even though that was our one exposure to him. That was it. He was not in a place where he could participate in our programming. At the time, we didn't have the community center and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, we had a little bit more limited access to things. But for him, knowing that Spencer Pride was in the community, he said that kept him going. And so just to know that we could be a part of that is amazing.
Yeah, just to be that light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, you mentioned apple butter. What's your opinions of last apple butter?
I was there.
Yeah.
So we had our 5th anniversary of our community center at the same time. So we did an open house for our 5th anniversary on the Saturday of apple butter.
We missed out on that. We were doing Junk in the Trunk, and that was... We don't need to talk about that.
Okay.
You had cupcakes, and we missed the cupcakes.
So we were really excited. We had a lot of people come in for it. So we were giving away the rainbow cupcakes, like you mentioned, and beverages. We also had a prize wheel going, so you could spin that. We had almost 250 people come in that day, which was just phenomenal. I mean, It was amazing. So really great. Again, a great day filled with a lot of people talking about, all the great things that they love about Spencer Pride, and also a lot of people, learning about us for the first time, but also many people excited about our upcoming festival. So, so that was really great. And of course, because it was tied in with apple butter, I know that generated some of that extra traffic out. I'm thrilled to have apple butter back downtown. As I think everyone in the community knows, I'm very vocal about our downtown events, and obviously, I'm passionate about Spencer Pride, but I'm passionate about all of our events. We all have the right to be down here.
Every single one of them is the community.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And just like, we promote, diversity within our organization, but we focus in the LGBTQ community because others don't. But diversity in all its different forms is truly reflected in seeing lots of different types of events. The Rev 20 Christian Music Festival, Apple Butter, all these different events that we've got going on. Whippoorwill this year for the first time. I love to see it. I'm excited that people are able to get together again, and I'm thrilled to have apple butter back. I had almost given up hope, really, because I wasn't sure the dynamics of why they had moved and why they were staying over there. And it's a small town. You hear just 20 different things, and I don't know what to believe. And even people that I trust, I still among people I trust, I hear different things, right? And so. I didn't really have confidence that they would be coming back. I was ecstatic to hear when they announced they were coming back.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think downtown would be alive if it wasn't for the festivals,
Mhm.
because that's what generates the traffic,
Mhm.
generates
Yeah.
the revenue,
Yeah.
generates everything.
Yep.
And when the Tivoli opened, that made a world of difference.
Absolutely.
That was the Kickstarter for
Yeah.
everything. Right
Yeah,
there.
and then next thing you know, we've got 2 restaurants, 2 art galleries,
Mhm.
the community Unity. We have everything going there. We still have room to grow.
Right,
Mhm.
right, for
2
sure.
coffee houses.
Yeah, well, one now. One
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard.
I mean, the Tivoli gave people a reason
Mhm.
to come to the downtown, right?
Yep.
And gave them a reason to stay for a few hours at least while
Yeah.
they come and get some good popcorn at a good price and watch a great,
Right.
first run movie
Yeah.
in this beautiful venue.
Mhm.
And knowing that there was that reliable, constant traffic of people that
Yep.
were coming to that could provide confidence to some businesses to say, you know what, we could be here, and if nothing else, we could be a weekend business, and that's not ended up how it's needed to be. I mean, these businesses are open, 5,
Yep.
7 days a week, etc. But the Tivoli provided the foundation for that with that kind of constant flow of people coming in, and I mean, with Dragonfly and Juniper and the community center, I mean, we've got some great foundational kind of shopping places that people can go.
Yeah. What's your opinion on Spencer Coffee House closing down?
I'm really disappointed on
Yeah.
like so many levels I can't share and all.
I can share one. Blueberry shakes. They're gone. They made awesome blueberry
I
shakes.
didn't even know about the blueberry shake.
Yeah. Because
So-
not very. There's a list of flavors that they make shakes out of, and blueberry was listed.
So
Yeah.
I for my day job. So I've got my day job and I've got my gay job, right? So the gay one's the one I don't get paid for, the Spencer Pride work. For my day job, I'm a field employee, so I physically don't go in anymore to my workplace, but instead I work from home. But of course we're in a rural area. Home internet's garbage. It wasn't until I just recently got fiber, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
That'll never happen to me.
I thought the same about me, but nonetheless,
I live much further.
okay, all right. Well, nonetheless, we do have that at home now, and we're working on some stuff at our house so that I can get a home office. But in the meantime, I work out of the Spencer Bright Community Center for my day job as well, and so once a week I go over there and I get a drink, and once a week another one of the volunteers who works every Thursday morning, he goes over there and gets me a drink, and so like I'm like a regular. I didn't realize like I'm a regular over there, and so. I'm really disappointed. I mean, there was like this sweet spot right before the pandemic where we had both of the coffee houses going. And so, once a week I'd come over and I'd get like a pastry at Spencer Coffee House, and I'd go get a iced caramel macchiato at Main Street Coffee. And, I want to support everybody, right? And then, of course, Main Street Coffee closed to do their fantastic renovations.
Yeah, we can get to that if you
we'll
want
come back
to.
that
Yeah,
one. Please, I'd love to. And then it was. I mean, Spencer Coffee House was like the only thing I had for a long time there. Like if I wanted to get that caffeine boost, that was the place.
I've been meaning to talk to them. I actually want to bring them on. So, yeah. So go ahead.
So I mean. So I'm really disappointed they're gone. I mean, I'm disappointed because that's one less place that I can go get stuff. I'm also disappointed because certainly it brought in traffic to the community center because Spencer Coffee House is a neighbor to ours.
Yeah.
I'm also disappointed because they painted this amazing mural that's now going to have Spencer Coffee House on it for the rest of the time. And they invested so much into this fantastic equipment and really beautiful interior.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to sit and be a ghost town there, right? I want it to be utilized. Like I'm desperate for it to be utilized because we need this kind of stuff in our town.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I hope that somebody identifies that as a place that's just what they need to do what they want to do.
If I had the way to rent that, I have a use for it. I would do it, but I don't have the means.
Okay.
And Gavin would love to keep it as what it is because it was a great place to go.
It was, yeah. For sure.
And I'm glad we have Main Street still, but both, it was better.
Yeah, totally. I mean, what time do you go in where you don't have like the CVS and the Walgreens or the Lowe's and the Menards, like right on the opposing street corners, right? It's good competition.
Yeah.
So
I honestly didn't consider them. The only way they were competition to me because it was one of those. Well, do I want the Reese's or do I want the blueberry? What do I want today?
Exactly.
And we would bounce back and forth between them because they're just wonderful places to go. And to me, they weren't even in the same category together.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They're different. Totally different. And
And I know our festival goers in 2019, we had our last in-person event. They were excited to be able to have both the coffee shops there. So I'm a little disappointed about them not going to be there for Pride this year, and also because again Spencer, is in a revitalization and it is going in the right direction. But of course, every time we take a step back, for an outsider, that can be like this alarming signal, like, oh, something really serious is going on, and that can make someone hesitant to invest further into the community. Oh, a coffee house pulled out, maybe I shouldn't. And I hate the idea of that because I fervently believe Spencer's a fantastic place. And I tell people all the time, I mean, I'm not from Spencer. My husband and I have been here for, it'll be 20 years in a couple of months, or at least that we'll have been together.
Okay, bit of a tangent. What brought you to Spencer?
My husband.
Okay. What brought him to Spencer?
So he was from a small town in Kansas called Kansas City. It's spelled like Arkansas.
I've been there.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that's where he was kind of born and raised as a kid. And then his father worked for General Electric and moved around the country in a couple of places. And one of those places happened, the last place when Jacob was about 17 was Bloomington. He got transferred to the Bloomington facility for GE. And so Jacob, just kind of exploring the area as a 17-year-old, came through Spencer, and it reminded him of the great kind of historic homes and the small town feel of Kansas City. Yeah. And so he said, I want to get a place there. And so he ended up buying a really run-down home, 1850s Greek Revival, and he fully restored it. And right at the 97% point when he was almost done, I swooped in and got to take some credit for that. And so that was in 2001. We got together in November. We've been dating since the first week in November. So anyways, so we're not from Spencer, but 20 years is certainly long enough to say this is home.
Yeah.
And it's home because we choose it to be. And I tell people all the time, like, I didn't, and not to be disparagingly, but I'm not in a situation where I was born here and could just never get away.
Yeah.
I chose to be here. We choose to be here every day.
Yeah.
Any day we could say, let's go somewhere else. Let's go somewhere that's better this, better that, whatever. Yeah. I love Spencer. And we've got our son Truman, who's 8 going on 45, and
saw him in a suit.
Right, and he, we chose to raise our family here, and we choose to continue doing that every single day. And so I'm really proud of our community, and I want others to be proud of it too, and I want them to see that potential. And I know that they do, and we hear it all the time through Spencer Pride. I just this week we had someone say Spencer Pride was kind of one of the finalizing decisions that they made to move here. We've heard that 4 times in the last 18 months.
That's pretty neat.
And so that's great to hear. And so, but anytime when a business closes like Spencer Coffee Shop, I'm like, oh man, I just don't want to scare people away. We're going in the right direction.
Yep.
It's hard for people on the outside to see the 20 steps we went forward.
Right.
But they will see that.
Oh, that one.
Exactly. Yep. And I mean, I believe that if the right someone can find that spot, I mean, that's an amazing place that they've invested in there at the coffee house. And so it can still be that thing. We don't have to step even a full step back. Maybe it's just a half step. We just don't know it yet.
Right. Yeah. So see, I want to turn it into a studio. So but upstairs we'd be doing this, and downstairs stays a open thing where I need to film at a restaurant. I have it. And it happens to be functioning,
Right,
And so it's very selfish, but it's what I want.
Yeah, no, it sounds cool.
Any investors? Going once? But yeah, I agree with that. We came out here more because Gavin has family in Bloomington, and we drove around. I fell in love with Brown. Did not fall in love with the prices. Loved Bloomington, but we wanted to be out in the middle of nowhere. And we even looked at Green. We came through here, and just driving between Green, here, Brown, all that reminded me of driving in the mountains in New Mexico, and that's where we almost went too. So I was like, well, here we have seasons, so
I love this.
We win.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. We chose to be here. We choose to be here.
Right.
And we love
it. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I love the green trees.
Yeah.
The river. I mean, we try to experience all. We do hiking a lot, kayaking, etc. And so. I mean, that's important for us. So,
now, Mark Rogers was talking about he kayaked from Gosport to Spencer and just was wasted. It's 3 hours. So, but he was also talking about trying to clean that river up even more.
Yeah.
To attract those kayakers. 'Cause
Yeah.
We've got a great river for that. I mean,
do.
going completely through the whole county. You
Yeah,
can several
absolutely.
places to stop, camp, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time we go out, we oftentimes take either a flotational device or another boat that we tow behind where we can throw trash in because. Yeah, I mean it's sad and disgusting, but we all got to do what we can, and so, definitely. But yeah, I'm very familiar with the Gosport dispenser route. The hardest one was Martinsville to Gosport. We didn't realize how truly long that is on the river. That was painfully long. That was our very first time too, and so we thought we would get on the river and we could go from Martinsville to Worthington. We were like, oh, that seems like a day. That's not a day. Not at our speed, at least. Because, I mean, it's the two of us towing Truman behind, who's now capable of getting an oar in the water, and half the time he's not creating drag. So that's good. And so, yeah, we get on the river quite a bit.
He was talking about how low it was this time, so he was actually having to trudge through the sandbars.
Yeah. The last time that we were out there, which was probably it was over Labor Day weekend. It was lower than it has often been that we're out there. Although the current was pretty strong, which was a nice welcome thing to see. But yeah, we are accustomed to it being a little higher.
Right. This kind of brings up an idea. Between your work, your volunteer in Truman, what do you do for fun?
So I am a very privileged person, I'll recognize. First of all, for my day job, I get to do something I enjoy, and I feel like I get to make a difference there. My volunteer work is tremendously satisfying for me, and I feel almost selfish that I even get to do it because I get so much out of it, and I have so much fun with it. And Truman is just a barrel of fun. I mean, parenthood is it's one fun leap after another, and
leap. Yes.
And you're constantly learning things about yourself and your child and humanity. And so it's been a really great pleasure, though. We have a lot of good fun, and so I mean, we do these things together. I mean, we volunteer together, and we do get out on the river together. So my hobbies, my things that I do for fun. I mean, I like watching movies. I like getting out in nature. I'm a birder. I'm a photographer. I'm a sci-fi nerd. Those are kind of the things that I like.
Okay, sci-fi nerd will love this. Saw 2 different groups of Trekkies at the Ren Fair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is really cool. Yeah. Our kayaks are named after a variety of different, mostly Star Wars themed things.
Nice.
But we kind of come up with like Truman's little boat that he's in is the escape pod, and then we've got the Imperial Aquatic Exploration Vehicle, the IAEV. It's on there. And,
nice.
So yeah, we're pretty nerdy.
Keeping up on Mandalorian and all that.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
I can't.
Why?
Okay. Disney and Hulu, the way they download, they don't buffer like all the others.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be watching it and it'll freeze.
Okay, I thought, yeah.
And I have to start it all over.
I thought you were
again.
going to make like an anti-Disney comment. But
No, it's the internet.
Yeah, I hear you. No, and so now I get to have high-speed internet at home, so I will soon forget. and will no longer be able to empathize with you, but for so long I definitely did, because I would have to download if software allowed you to download at home at elsewhere. I'd download at the center and we'd watch it at home. But a lot of this programs and services, Paramount Plus doesn't let you.
Yeah, Disney doesn't let you. Hulu, Netflix does sometimes.
Disney does for some things, but not for all the big ones that you want to see that are brand new.
Yeah. So I sat there. I trudged through the first season of Mandalorian. Loved it.
Yeah.
Hated Disney's system, but
it
was one of those. Okay, I'll just wait till I can get it on.
It's gotten a little better. You can, just saying, all of those streaming services that we talked about are available at the Spencer Pride Community Center, in the Gathering Place, or in the Meeting Room. So if you happen to be there, have time to watch something, you are welcome to stream it.
See, everybody out there hear that? Oh yeah.
We've done one of the perks of being a volunteer is that we can rent the Meeting Room whenever we want, and our volunteers rent it for all sorts of fun reasons.
Nice.
They just can't do it for profits. You can't do a Mary Kay party or Pampered Chef party or sell candles or whatever. But
you can do a screening of Mandalorian.
But you can do that. And we've got one of our volunteers is great. She's really into this heavy metal group. I don't even know what it is. She likes to rent it. So her and like 2 friends, like literally, it's like the tiniest little group, like rock out to like these streaming concerts and stuff like
Nice.
that. And so yeah, totally.
Probably
These-
baby
these-
metal. Baby metal.
I don't know. I don't know enough.
Do you know
about
what
it.
baby metal is?
I don't.
It's a Japanese Lolito band, basically the doll dress up sort of look.
Okay, all right.
Heavy metal band.
Okay. I don't
There's
think
these tiny
that's
little
what
girls
this is.
dressed up in these fancy
Got it, okay.
clothes,
Got it.
and they
It's
sing
called
some
baby metal. Okay.
baby metal. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I probably isn't. It just what came to mind when you said that. It's like,
Yeah. But yeah, so all sorts of you could stream there.
Nice. Are those your keys?
Those are my keys.
Okay, that's fine. I just saw those on the floor. I was like, oh, how long have those been? Because we wrapped Frankenstein last week, right?
Yes. Yeah,
And
last
this
week.
place has been a mess, as you can see, still.
Mhm.
So we're finding all sorts of things.
I fiddle around a lot, and if I have the keys anywhere near me, I was going to disturb your microphone.
Oh,
So
kind of
I
like
put
what
it-
I'm doing with this,
Put
right?
it out of the way so I couldn't touch it.
Yeah, I have to be busy too.
Yeah,
Yes.
I get to fiddle and talk to chat.
Anybody on chat speaking of?
No.
No. All right.
Nope.
Yeah. So yeah, I advertised this on Instagram, Facebook, a few other places. So hopefully somebody's out there listening. This will definitely be advertised again once it's available for podcast on Anchor FM / Time of Your Half-Life.
Excellent.
And
And-
Spotify and Google
Well,
Cast
that'll
and-
get you the rest. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on a whole bunch. And if it wasn't for Anchor, it wouldn't be on all those because Anchor's pretty nice. So this is your little promo Anchor, which you can do a podcast and then they'll distribute it for you.
That's
It's
great.
kinda nice.
It's really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's free. I like it.
That's
So,
even better.
yeah. I don't have to talk about them. It just kind of came up. So.
Right. No, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm all about like supporting the brands that
Mhm.
do really good things.
Yeah. Yep. So he performed Red at the Spencer.
Tammy Bingham directed.
Yep.
it with
Yeah.
Mark Rogers.
I remember.
Are you gonna be doing anything else like that?
If they're wanting to do it, we will be having them. We
Nice.
love to have it. I mean,
Yeah.
I like to. You know, I was there a lot for all those performances,
Yeah.
so I get to hear Mark Rogers like yell a
Yeah.
whole lot.
Yes, he
And
did.
Yeah, I
was
recorded
there.
all of the performances and I actually enjoyed it. I went in kind of going, meh.
It was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was really good. And so I told him
Mhm.
occasionally he would need to just come by and yell at me so I could feel good again. Like I got used to it.
You hear that, Mark? We're talking about you again. We got to hashtag Mark Rogers on this one.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah,
Brought him
yeah,
up
for
3
sure.
times now.
For
Yeah,
sure.
3 times. Is that like Beetlejuice?
Uh-oh.
You haven't seen that movie.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't watch very many movies.
Mark's beard grows another inch every time. You know, three references.
He will truly be Santa Claus. You know why he has the beard, right?
I don't.
He's
but
going to be Chris Kringle in Miracle on 34th.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I actually, I saw a picture of him in the 9/11 We Remember event when he was speaking,
Mhm.
and around the same time, I saw some kind of promotion. I was like, I wonder. So that's cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's great.
Mhm.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm growing this thing out for it.
You're all in. That's fantastic.
Yes. So back to apple butter. What did you think of them being on the square with everything that's going on and what's happening? And what is it? It's a $400 application fee to just be looked at.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's such a at the core because
Mhm.
you know I had a lot of people asking us when they were coming in for the anniversary about it
Yeah.
too, and of course everyone wants to come in hot like, oh my god, someone did something wrong, and I just want to be like really clear up front, and I was with every one of them to say, first let's pause and say, the Lions Club and having apple butter here, first of all, again, great thing.
Yeah.
Second, they followed the process that they were asked to follow
Mhm.
to get the appropriate permissions and whatever they needed to pay and whatever hoops they needed to jump through. They did all that. So there's nothing wrong about anything that apple butter did, and none of the controversy that with the special events ordinance,
Yeah.
even though we know it was targeted to try and cancel our pride, unsuccessfully.
Well, you guys are diverse.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, even though that was the premise behind it, again, they were assaulting all of the various pride events, and festivals that are in our downtown, and
They were attacking downtown.
exactly.
Rep 20,
And
Christmas at the Square,
correct.
Farm to Dinner Table.
And so what have we seen? I mean, if you pull the pandemic out from there, right?
Yeah.
What you will have seen is the non-pandemic year before the controversy or leading up to that controversy, and then compare it to this year. I know we're still in the midst of the pandemic, but looking a little different sometimes. But I mean, and you see all the same events, and then also Whippoorwill, and then now Apple Butter back. So actually, the reaction to this controversy, rightfully so, was more downtown events, and the commissioners and their efforts to be Puritans of their own misguided ideology, put in more bureaucracy, because of course, they want to have really small governments except for everything related to anything diverse, right? In which case, then there's much bureaucracy, and we should have an agency that just evaluates whether Pride should be able to be on the courthouse square. And so, it was just all trying to add big government layers. They didn't even know what they had. They weren't even adhering to the rules they already had, and then they want to add more. It's just a bunch of BS. And the frustrating thing about it, frankly, is, so the 3 commissioners passed this. It was a watered-down version of what they originally proposed, so it wasn't quite as absurdly expensive. Still a lot more than it was before. A lot more rules and things like that. And what you'll find is there's no difference in how people are actually using it. So the Apple Butter Festival, again, this is not a slam on them, because I firmly believe they were adhering to everything they were asked of them. But if you look at the special events ordinance, it says that every one of those vendors should have been, like on plywood, on the lawn, and then the things set up. No, not a one. And the various things that were done during Apple Butter and have been done during some of the other events as well are things that are contrary to what the special events ordinance says. But the thing about the special events ordinance is they are the supreme authority on everything. They can take and pick and choose and whatever they want to do. And that's the problem with the special events ordinance, is that they created something, they added all this subjectivity in it. The opportunity to appeal, so to speak, is very limited, and if you get close to your event is irrelevant, because there's not even time for the appeal process to go through, although they're their own appeal process. And so that's the problem with it, is they created something that would allow them to be subjective and waive things, because to my understanding is that every event that's happened thus far has had some kind of modification of every aspect of the ordinance, from what do they pay to what is the process to go through to what are the rules we need to adhere. Seems to be different for every one of the events that we've had this year, and that's exactly what we would have expected.
As the ordinance stands, do you think they priced any up and coming events out?
I would like to think not. Honestly, because they're willing to waive the rules, and so some of the more expensive burdens or things like that, paying the county hourly rates for EMS and all sorts of different things, right, that could be charged, has not thus far been charged. They've been continuing to waive those and waive those and waive those, and so thus far, because of how these commissioners have been approaching it, I don't think it has priced anyone out. Now, if Pride were to step forward, would it be 100% of what it says in the ordinance? Possibly, and maybe not. I don't know. The other frustrating thing about this is, 2 of the 3 commissioners didn't seek re-election, and I think in part because of the because of the great response they got to their ridiculous behaviors. And then we got 2 new commissioners in, who during the whole process, because I don't know if you knew it or not, but at the time Spencer Pride was doing forums with the candidates in May, and we did a debate with the candidates and leading up to the November election, and so we were trying to really educate the public about the candidates. And ultimately the 2 individuals who were elected into office, one of them to this day has never responded to a single question, inquiry, invitation, anything from Spencer Pride, doesn't acknowledge our existence. The other one was willing to participate, and the reaction to questions about the special events ordinance when we're at the end of September was, haven't looked into it yet, and I'll look into it when I get there. And for someone who was seeking office and was just about to run in that final ballot and ultimately did win, for what our community went through at the end of 2019 about the special events ordinance, it blows my mind that someone could get away with saying, I haven't even looked at it yet. Don't even know what it says right now. Not even sure what the controversy was. I'll look at it when I get there. And if that's how someone reacts when they are trying to sell themselves to you to get your vote,
Mm-hmm.
you know you're up a creek when they actually get in office.
Yep.
Now maybe I'll get proved wrong, and I'd hopefully get proved wrong, right? but that's the thing. And so the other element of it is now 2 out of these 3 commissioners can say, like, we didn't do that. It wasn't us, right? But they're also not changing it either. They're leaving it in place because what they've been given is this thing where they can be God. And they can decide what they want to pick and choose at their will. And so that was part of the, there was a lot of discussion among Pride about would we try to use the courthouse at all this year? And there are a lot of things about the courthouse that would be that are appealing. So the Lions had put in all the great utilities for the food vendors, and access to those are significant. We just spent about $4,000 in what are now going to be the new sidewalks going in downtown to offset those utilities. I would love to have not spent $4,000 on that.
Right.
Now we see it as an investment for our own event. Our food vendors are going to be on Franklin Street this year and moving forward. We also we also see it as something that if other events downtown, Rev 20 or Whippoorwill or others wanted to use some of those utilities, now they have them. We're the only ones who have them available now on the north side of the square on Franklin Street there, and so we'll have plenty of 110 kind of standard outlets, but also 30 amp service in 3 locations. So I mean, Spencer Pride. This isn't the town of Spencer doing this. This isn't the county doing this.
Yeah.
We are putting this in. And so tomorrow our concrete gets poured and you'll kind of see the fruition of some of the utility installation.
Nice.
But we've been doing that over this last week, physically installing those utilities.
I watched the stuff go in. It was like the front facade being redone too recently. That was
great.
Really nice.
It's great. In an ideal world, all these things could have happened at pace. Like one at a time, and but that's not the nature. So we're an entirely not-for-profit organization. We can't control when we get grants approved, what order things get approved, and then every grant, or in some cases, it's individual contributors. So Rex Hinkle, one of our board of director members, is really very much responsible for allowing us to be able to get a lot of the facade renovation done through his great contributions. But also some of it is through grant work, Owen County Community Foundation, and a variety of other grants. But you become beholden to those grant holders, and it forces you to take action in certain time periods. Last year, for example, we replaced the 4 windows in the ballroom. It was absolutely not what we were going to work on next. But as we're submitting grants, I mean, you're going to get declined for 80% of them. It's just the way that it works. And the ones you do get approved for have their own timelines. They may tell you in 6 months that you win, and they may give you money in 6 months, and you may have to spend it and whatever, right? And so last year, we had the opportunity to replace the ballroom windows, and we were told, here's your check. If you don't use it in 6 months, you got to return the money back. Well, heck, I'm not returning that money back, right? And so, but then we got to pivot and do this other thing. And so, anyways, so it's been great though. But just so happened to be that all the kind of financial elements between grants and different things all just lined up. And so we were just like, we were trying to knock it out in a way that was like reasonable. I mean, the extra cost of wood prices. We've had atrocious luck with contractors this year. We had a contractor pull out of the window project at the very last minute. And so we thought for a while there we weren't going to do it. Then we were going to do it. Then we had the opportunity to do the sidewalk, but we had to get it done in a certain period of time. And so it's been a race that we're running. And now, of course, we're pivoting in. We're trying to wrap up some of these rehab projects as we're also doing the normal intense planning for the festival. And so when that festival's over, I'm really looking forward to the Sunday after, right? That like one day before I start planning the 2022 Spencer Pride Festival and the next, project that we're doing, which we're already working at the community center. So there's just so much going on, but right now it's a particularly intense time.
Oh man. Hour? We're at the hour. What do you want to do?
We can keep going a little bit.
All right, we'll keep going for a little bit. I was talking about with this Mark Rogers and some of the things you've mentioned, especially with the county commissioners and the city commissioners and everything you've done and everything that's happening on here. There doesn't seem to be that much information really circulating properly through the area. Evening World News is no longer a local newspaper. We don't have that sort of coverage.
One day a week.
One day a week. So they're really not covering anything here. And newspaper is dying anyway. What do you think Spencer or Owen County should do for media coverage?
I don't know. I was interviewed by someone who was doing a kind of community survey about a month ago, specifically about this topic, and I don't have any good answers because it's been declining for a long time, and I know all of our behaviors, I guess, contribute to that as we get more stuff online, and so we're not to blame in part. But
And that is kind of the idea for the show. Is yes, my main focus is Owen County. But I'm more than welcome to bring anybody who is in Indiana or the surrounding states that's close enough that wants to make this trip come in here and give their spiel, talk about whatever they want, talk about absolutely nothing, talk about, what's the favorite trends or anything, and give them access to a potential audience, even if that is the audience they have to direct here themselves.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of why.
Which I think is great. I
'cause
mean,
I don't see anything else like this happening, or at least if it's happening, it's not making the circuit. Nobody's passing that word on.
yeah, and I mean, I think I desperately want it to change too, right? Because Spencer and Owen County are doing such good things, but the things that we become known for aren't all that great. Now, I'm proud that if you look up Spencer and if you look on the positive sides of things Spencer's known for, Spencer Pride's there a lot, a whole lot. But then you think about the other things that Spencer's known for, a lot of government corruption and just different stuff like that, right? That's not the reputation that we want to build. Yeah. And there's so many good things happening between the Owen County Community Foundation, the Owen County Chamber of Commerce, the YMCA, MyPath, Spencer Pride, just from like a not-for-profit perspective, and then obviously really great things happening with businesses as well, for-profit businesses. And there's so many good things that are happening, complex things, community building in so many different ways, and we're not getting the word out there. We're not taking credit for it as much as we could if we had better local media coverage. If we did, I think we could really be rebranding Spencer in a great way. That would be faster than our current kind of slow osmosis thing.
Mark Rogers puts it as also keeping an eye on the people in charge.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, indeed. So, I think that's part of it is it's unfortunate because I think the kind of story of Spencer, that really positive story, this revitalization is there, and we need to get it out there so that people know about it, so that they come and they invest in Spencer and they come and shop and eat and all that kind of stuff here, see a movie, and then we'll get continued investment and those businesses will continue to grow and continue to flourish. And I think that's great. I think we're in that direction, but we could be going even faster in that direction if we were getting more attention for the great things that we're doing. I mean, just as a small example, which isn't small in terms of the project itself, but small in the grand scheme of things. But, when you think about, again, back to the special events ordinance conversation and controversy, the identification that, the courthouse doesn't want to let us use their restrooms anymore, and the reaction of the Owen County Chamber of Commerce to putting together that campaign to get public restrooms, and then all of a sudden, in a very short period of time, I don't know, like a month or something, it was a really short period of time, to pull together tens of thousands of dollars to get that matching grant that they worked hard to identify, and then all of a sudden, now, I know we had a little bit of slowdown because of some, community health challenges, but, here we are. We had a Pride Festival. We had the community reaction to that controversy about the special events ordinance. And our very next Pride Festival, we're going to be able to utilize what are now public restrooms that are available because the community foundations, or I'm sure they were involved in some way, but the Chamber of Commerce stepped up because people stepped up. Because the community reacted to something and said, then we'll fill this gap. And now that's something that's there infrastructure-wise to make us even better than we were before. We're not just filling in the gap for what the commissioners took back.
Right.
We have made something better that's there much more often than what that was available before.
That will outlast them.
That will outlast.
Yes.
Exactly. And so, I mean, that's just one example, and there's so many examples like that. And I'm proud that when you look downtown and you look at that great mural they've painted on the back of the restrooms, you know, I mean, I like the fact that our name's painted on the back of the restroom, you know. But, you know, you'll see Spencer Pride listed there, and a lot of our donors who donated thousands of dollars, or our supporters who donated thousands of dollars to the restroom project, because we rallied them to say, this is why this is happening as a reaction to us. And so, you know, we're proud of that. We're proud to see, you know, Spencer Main Street and the work that they've done. And I love that, you know, go sit across from the law office right down from Dragonfly and sit your butt on that bench there and look at the plaque, and it says this bench was provided by, you know, the proud volunteers of Spencer Pride. I love that. I love that you can look up at the banner and see, you know, the advertisement for our festival that's so well received, and for which we've got, you know, the Owen County Public Library offering their space, and we'll be at the Tivoli, and, you know, Juniper and Dragonfly are having special things going on that day for the festival, and like our community comes together. And I know everything I'm describing is very downtown centric. Obviously my life very much is downtown centric, but I mean, there's so much going on in Owen County in general, so many good things happening, My Path, etc., that, you know, I just wish that we were able to talk more about. And also I agree with Mark, and I wish that we were able to continue to have this spotlight on the people who are making decisions for us, because, you know, we don't get good press, and I think there's definitely some bias in some of the press that we do get.
We don't need any more FBI raids.
Well, but I mean, but I mean, if you need the FBI to do a raid, then do it. But you know, sometimes we get pressed because there's this perception of what Owen County is, and this story seems to feed into it. You know, someone stole money, or someone made a mistake, and it cost the county, you know, thousands, and so that feeds into a perception of a bias that's already there, and then we just spit out the same thing, and Owen County's at it again, right? And it's unfortunate that that's the coverage that we get. It is a part that's there, and we need to continue shedding light on it so that we can hopefully do something about it. But I think we're not going to do something about it until we get rid of straight ticket voting and a variety of other things.
Oh, if we could only get rid of that.
I know. I've yet to hear a compelling reason.
Yeah.
Well, why we need it. I mean, I've heard that.
I don't have one for you.
But it's really hard for, you know, my parents, my elderly parents, or whomever, because
if I check more than 2 boxes, my hand hurts.
Right. You know, but I've heard like it's like I have the elderly parents. It's really hard for them to go into the ballot box. But I mean, they could easily make the mistake altogether and vote the wrong whole straight ticket, right? If they could make the mistake on the macro level, and there are people that can help you, that can go with you to the box and all that kind of stuff too. You don't need to make it so dumbed down, and frankly, even if I have throughout my entire life, you know, been in places where straight ticket voting was an option. I've never hit that button, even in times where I may be choosing, and that's not every time by any means. It's not a foregone conclusion. I'm not associated with a party. I'm associated with people and ideas and the things they want to do, right? There have been times when maybe the vote the ballot that I cast ultimately might line up with one party. But I take great pride in making what is an educated decision each and every time to select that. And there are so many of the roles that are on there, judges and all sorts of the school board, etc., that don't fall into that because they're in those special buckets where you get to vote 2 out of 3 or whatever, right? And so they don't even realize, even if you wanted to vote all R's or all D's or all G's, right?
Or I's.
Exactly. That,
sometimes Y.
Yeah. Even if you wanted to do that, and that's why you're hitting the button, you're still not doing it because there's still people that identify with those parties that you're not voting for because of some of those special election circumstances. And some of those are our critical elections.
I unfortunately come from a family, I'm probably the only one who doesn't vote straight ticket. My father was it's got to be this party. My grandmother was, it's got to be this party. My sister's got to be this party. It's like, do you know what they're doing?
Right. But even if they're going to be that party, fine. Does it really need to just be one button? Can you do 10 buttons? I mean, is it really the biggest ordeal for me in voting is carving aside time to get to a voting place, finding the right voting place, waiting in line to get up there. That's the burden to me to vote, and I wish that we would make it easier to get to voting. And I think Owen County does a pretty good job. But I mean, I think
freedom is really well. I've had to wait behind 2 people once.
Yeah.
2.
Right. So I mean, I think we do a pretty good job there locally. Although I think there's a lot federally that should be done to really standardize that and have a lot more universal expectations for voting. But that to me is the commitment when it comes to voting. That it's the time, the difference of 10 more buttons that I have to push or something.
Right.
That's not a difference that I'm concerned about at all, or that I think people really would be concerned about if they really understood the implications of what that results in.
I remember an election in Florida. I had to go through 11 pages of voting, and it was the old. It wasn't the new. The
Right,
what they have
yeah,
now. This
yeah.
is Chad time,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I'm sitting there, punch, and I had probably 5 to 10 choices per page, and
Yeah.
there was 11 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went through that because, all right, what does this person do? Do I somehow align or agree with where they're going?
Yep.
Are they borderline? Are they off the wall?
Yep.
And yeah, you're right. Research is necessary. You can get help.
And I think that's what it is. I think genuinely, if people were honest, it's that they don't want to see the names there because they've not done the research in some circumstances.
Yeah.
And I'm being really generic, but I do believe probably the majority of folks are not doing extensive research. They're going with party line, or they're going with the last commercial that they
Yeah.
heard.
Mhm.
And
Oh, it could
maybe
be-
there's that guilt that they feel when they look there and they see all these names, and they're only picking it because of this one little letter after their name.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like this tinge of guilt, and they feel like maybe I should have educated myself. Oh nope, I'll just start up here. I don't even need to. I don't need to have those guilt feelings. I don't need to feel
Oh,
shame.
it could even be worse. Maybe they did their own research.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
yes.
research.
Yes.
not-
Yes.
Facebook told me.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, YouTube,
Mhm.
right?
Oh well, if it's on YouTube, it's got to be right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Including this podcast.
Right.
Well, we're also on Twitch, so we're better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's like what are they, cross-checking, or right? Like
Yeah.
we're in two sources now.
Yeah,
so.
and soon to be another 5, 7 something. Yeah, because that's the idea. Is I got a finger.
Are you giving out medical advice yet, though?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Three scoops of extra crunchy peanut butter daily on a tortilla with just a slather of honey. Not just any honey. It's got to be mesquite honey.
Mesquite honey.
Mesquite honey.
What's mesquite honey?
Well, you know what mesquite is, right?
I get mesquite.
Yeah. So that flowers because it's a nice tree and it's not going to taste anything like the wood or the
Right.
smoke.
Okay. Yeah.
But out in the Southwest, you get this really nice, dark, rich honey.
Huh.
And it's
Cool.
it's mesquite flavored. That's the simplest way I can put it. It's got its own flavor, and it is my favorite honey.
That's awesome.
And it's almost inaccessible here because this isn't a desert. So.
Yeah. We don't have mesquite honey at the community center, but we do have a lot of other honey at the
Yeah.
community center.
Oh, and you're in Florida. You have holly and palm honey.
Mhm.
Those are good.
Okay.
Still, mesquite's my favorite. Out here, you tend to get your clover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although there is a blueberry honey out here made by Hunter and another place down south that is. Blueberry honey is awesome. No, it is not blueberry flavored. Again, it's
Right,
the,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the pollen from
Exactly.
the blueberry flowers,
Yeah.
and it's a totally different world.
Yeah.
I
So-
like buckwheat honey.
Buckwheat's good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So there's endless varieties. Of course, you have your wildflower, which means they put the bees out and they don't know what they got.
Every bite's an adventure.
That's right. As a matter of fact, we were driving when we were heading to the Renaissance Fair today. We passed by this place that's it's if I call it an acre, I'm really stretching the definition.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had several beehives spread throughout, and I was like, bees flying for miles. Why spread it out? It's like, well, this way most of the pollen came from this tree. So if this is a maple tree, you can say that. If it's or you're next to this field, even though it's only 100 feet from this other one, this place is probably doing more of the goldenrod or
Right,
something like
yeah,
that, so
yeah.
that they can at least say it's mostly this
Yeah.
flavor.
Yeah.
Even though most of these probably went, it's like, well, we know there's a good thing of clover, so we're going there. Because clover's all over the place out here.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my little honey speech. I got into honey because I like making mead.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what mead is, right?
Remind me.
It's fermented honey.
And
You turn it into alcohol, basically.
That's right. Okay.
Yes.
All right, yeah. I was like, I swear there's an alcohol connection in there. You got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So that's my little niche. And
how do you do it? Tell me.
oh, well, how do you make mead?
Yeah.
It's actually really simple. My recipe, which I will gladly give out here, is basically 2 parts of your favorite water, which basically means something that tastes good to you. 1 part honey. You basically boil those. As you boil it, you're basically pasteurizing it. That's going to produce a lot of protein. You're going to skim that off and throw it away. And then in the last 15 minutes of boil, you throw in a quarter teaspoon of Irish moss. This acts as a clarifier, a bonder. But it's not going to clarify immediately. This is going to happen later. You get all that together. If you want to add any other flavors, that's the time to do it.
Now, Irish moss. Now, I'm just going to express my ignorance here. Is that like a thing, or is it like, moss?
It is Irish moss. It is
So
a
it's
particular
like
type of moss.
greenish.
Well,
or-
you actually take the dried version of it.
Okay, all right.
Preferably you crush it up, but as long as you add it into the blast boil, the proteins and other enzymes in it help kind of bond any of the solids that are remaining, and will let those fall when the yeast is done doing what it's doing.
Now, is Irish moss one of these like Martha Stewart Living type ingredients that you can only get in one boutique in like Chelsea or something?
You can sometimes find it in various spice aisles. Sometimes,
got it. Okay.
Or you can go to specialty brewing stores and they'll have it there.
So you can probably find it at the Gucci Kroger in Bloomington.
Probably, but you'll definitely
Not
find it
Babs.
at. No, you'll find it at what's that place? Butler Winery. They
Okay.
have it because they have all their
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There was some grocer. Lucky's used to have it, but
Okay.
Lucky's is
yeah,
gone.
Yeah.
Everybody take a moment because Lucky's gone. Okay, we're done.
Yep.
Yeah, they
exactly.
had. That's another story. Hatch green chili.
Okay.
That's what Lucky's was good for.
Ah, okay.
Now I found out Kroger had it. I found out
Oh.
a week after the fact they had it that it's gone.
All right. Now I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I just wanted
Okay,
to
fine.
verify that I understood visually what Irish moss was. But
Yeah.
continue.
So, but basically, what it is you put it in the boil, let it do its job, then bring everything to room temperature, add your yeast, cap it. In about 2 weeks, you'll do what's called racking, which is getting most of the solids that have settled to the bottom. So you're putting another container, put another airlock on it, and then leave it alone until it clarifies. So it'll bubble. My recipe tends to bubble for 3 to 4 months, which means the yeast is doing its job. Yeast eats the sugar and poops out, or you get the excrement of carbon dioxide and alcohol.
Got it.
So yeast loves sugar. There's lots of sugar in yeast, in honey.
Yeah.
So at that point, once it clarifies, you bottle it and it's ready to drink. Yeah, real
Alright.
simple.
And it tastes like what? Its own thing.
Really sweet honey. Just it's not as thick because you watered it down a little bit. You've added to it, and it really depends on the honey you use. I like to make what's called a melomond, and I add blueberries and cherries to it, and that has a nice fruity flavor to it as well. And is usually somewhere around 16 to 20% alcohol because there's that much sugar in it.
Right.
I also recommend a champagne yeast because honey sugar is not your cane sugar. It's not the stuff you're going to put in your beer. It's not the stuff you're going to put in your wine. It is a complex sugar. So if you take a low yeast, that's usually used for beer, it's probably going to bounce right off. So the more aggressive champagne yeast can actually intermingle with these molecules, break them up properly, and poop out the right ingredients.
Excellent.
Yep. And Kurt Vonnegut is the one who basically told me that alcohol is basically yeast excrement. Thank you, Kurt Vonnegut.
You need to make some
Yeah.
at some point.
I was talking about it with Corbin, so sometime this week, if I can get some reverse osmosis water, we'll be making some. I've already got the honey, so not the good honey.
Not the
Gotcha.
mesquite honey.
Not the
Right.
mesquite
Not
honey.
the mesquite.
Or the
Yeah,
holly
exactly.
honey.
Or the holly or the palm. Yeah. Alfalfa honey is good too. That's another dark one. That's the other weird thing is all these recipes. Make sure you use a light spring honey. Why? I like dark honeys. Like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And so that's what I use. Yeah.
Got
I
it.
break all the rules. That's me.
Nice.
I don't add any cadmium or it's a water softener slash kills all the yeast. I don't add any metabisulfates, which is your preservatives.
This is probably not, sticking around very long when you make it.
Oh, it's not going to stick around long
Right,
anyway.
right, yeah.
But that's just it. If you're talking about, I have this 1841 Chateau, blah, 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 paid too much money for it, they didn't put preservatives in it.
Right.
That's a new within the last 50 years sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and at the same time, that's another thing. Do you like wines?
I mean, I like to drink a good wine, but I'm not a wine connoisseur.
Good thing you said a good wine.
Okay.
That's objective.
It is absolutely.
Yeah,
And
have
that's
you-
why I use that word.
Have you seen the list they have for flavors of wine? What you should taste in a wine?
Yeah. So I'm not like the
Sommelier.
mesquite with a hint of sawgrass and it's
Oh,
just
see.
as good or bad. And it's like
Burnt
I can say
toast is an
sweet or-
acceptable flavor.
Ah, okay. All right.
Rubbery is an acceptable flavor.
Don't No, I mean, I guess
Why?
you'd know it when you drank it.
Well, yeah, the burnt toast, literally, it tastes like burnt toast. Why?
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I don't like the taste of burnt toast. I like
Is
toast.
it buttery burnt toast?
No.
Oh.
It is
I mean,
nasty
that's just too
charcoaly burnt
dry.
toast.
Yeah.
And then the rubbery ones?
Yeah.
Why should it taste rubbery?
Yeah.
And that's just a sample of some of the things I've seen. I've like sat there going, nope. If you like the wine, then it's good wine.
Yeah.
What's a
Yeah.
professional wine taster called again? A sommelier, something like that.
I don't know. Look it up. You've got the internet. You're in front of the computer.
Hey, speaking of wines, we got the winery has their event coming up here. The
Harvest Moon. Yeah,
Festival
we missed out on
October
it, on doing that one. That's always a fun one.
Spencer Pride
Yeah.
will be there. We'll be selling honey there.
Sweet.
So yes,
All right.
Sommelier.
in
Sommelier.
addition to some other things, but yeah.
And the people who listen to them are called suckers, right?
Right.
And I love Owen Valley's blueberry wine.
Uh-huh.
That one's good. I like the fruity, sweet, or what they call wet wines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I have to have a red Chardonnay or whatever. 'Cause I don't know that stuff either. I know what I like.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like the sweet fruity ones. There was one, I think I'm pretty sure it was pear, and like they had it one year and they haven't had it since, and they had a very limited quantity, and I didn't know how limited it was, and I said if you buy it again, we'll literally buy cases of it because it was so good.
That's, what's weird is pears, believe it or not, are actually rather abundant around here. So
Yeah.
I don't.
We had
I'm-
pear trees growing up.
I don't see why they're not doing pear more often.
Yeah, I think it was pear,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was really good.
They
But
won awards for one of their wines,
Mhm.
national
Yeah.
awards.
correct,
Yep.
yeah, they've done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're great to have them, and I personally live out in Braysville, so
Yeah.
they're just right around the corner.
My family lives in Braysville also.
Okay, yeah. So
Past the Case Spears Lake, down at about another mile.
yeah, so we're not that far. But yeah, we're the one with the crooked pride flagpole. So you know.
Oh, there's another one. There's the brewery in Gosport, which I haven't been to yet.
Mm-hmm. I have not either.
Yeah, so I need to make a trip up there, see if they're any good.
Yeah.
And it's nice seeing things like that pop up around here.
It is.
That's more for the community.
And you know, I'm not a beer person at all, but I do love Civilian for their food.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Grape soda.
and all their sodas. Every single time I'm like, whatever you're making. Now I'm not like,
Hey, next time you go in, ask them for their onion rings.
why?
Just ask them.
Okay, all right, we'll do. They did
Let me know how they respond.
They
I
did
wanna
a
know.
chocolate soda once, and I was like, all right, not really. Like, I'm not really a big chocolate fan, but
They did an oat barley soda once.
Uh-huh.
It was like, no.
but you know what? I love, like, I would still, like, no matter what, like, I go in there, I'm gonna get their whatever soda is on tap
Yeah.
because I just love that they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I told Ben, you know, when they first opened, I was like, I don't like beer. I'm not gonna like anything you have. But I did the whole like whatever
The flight.
that flight.
Yeah.
There you go. I did it because I wanted to be able to say nope, nope, nope. Yeah,
Mhm.
right. So
Well, so
yes,
you'll have
I
to
did
do that.
all that.
You'll always have to do that again because the beers are always changing.
Oh God.
They don't always have the same thing. That's what I like. It's not like you're going into some other brewery. It's like, okay, we've got our IPA, we got our ale, we got our stout.
Right.
No, we have this. Oh, this time I'm coming up with this. Here's the citrusy one. Here's this, and
Yeah.
it's always different.
What I know is that my friends who like beer love drinking there, and so
Yeah.
I believe that they have great beer. But I know that they have great food,
Yeah.
and they are awesome people, and it's a great environment.
I
so.
love their fries. Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
The
they're
cheese and dipping sauces.
yeah.
Truman loves their grilled cheeses, but
Yep.
he gets it without pimento. They know his order. It's ridiculous.
Why without the pimento?
I don't know, because he needed to be complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
But I like that so we're vegetarian, so I like that every time we go in, there
Mhm.
are options for us.
Yeah.
And it's easy. We can get something really good without feeling like we're burdening someone.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
I need to. I've been challenged to eat the hot chicken, special style. I love hot stuff. I love hot.
Yeah.
foods.
Okay.
And
What's
they
the
have.
special style?
Well, they make the hot chicken with extra jalapenos, extra hot sauce. There's an extra mustard sauce and all this other stuff. Because some guy who used to work there would order this and he'd be eating it and sweating and dripping. And I'm like, okay, I want to experience this because that's the
Yeah.
sort of hot food I like.
Okay.
One, it's got to have flavor.
Why haven't you done this yet then?
I just haven't been able to.
Okay.
That's all it comes down to, and I need
You're
to.
not intimidated by it?
Not at all.
Okay.
That's one of those. I really wanted to do that this weekend.
Yeah.
Guess where I was?
All right. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yes,
This is
I
good
wanna
to
do
know.
this.
Okay.
And then the
so
only
next time, if you have me on the podcast again, I
Oh,
want to hear
absolutely.
about the hot chicken.
I will do a whole experience for
No
it. Absolutely.
excuses.
None. No, you don't get. I love hot.
Yeah,
food,
no, that's good.
But I do have a rule.
Uh-huh.
I've had hot stuff that you can't taste.
Yeah.
It's got to have flavor.
Yeah.
And burn is
It's nothing.
No.
Just because my tongue can't feel anything does not mean you've made something
Right.
good. Like, it's got to have a flavor.
and
for sure.
and they say it will have a flavor. Like, oh, please bring this on, because I love spicy food. He's totally opposite. He's mayonnaise is too much. It's got the lemony
Yeah.
spice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, I can't.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
even this conversation's starting.
So skin
you
kind of
know-
red. Yeah.
So I'll tell you, he makes me think of Babs, and so and as we talk about hot things, like one of the best things I ever got at Babs was one of these salsas. It was a ghost pepper salsa, and I like spicy things. My body does not like spicy things. I don't react well to them. And I was like, oh, this ghost pepper stuff, and it is like it was like utterly amazing. The flavor.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Flavor is like, I don't know, Ren Froze or something, whatever. But
yes, yes.
but
Yeah, I know.
it's amazing. And if you like spicy things, absolutely get
Yeah.
the ghost pepper salsa
Yes.
at Babs. It's phenomenal. But I will. I mean, I can't even like. My body will just disintegrate if I have it one more time. I think I actually got it a second time, and my husband was like, "Why are you doing this to yourself?"
It's good.
And I like my body pretty much like shut down. So
No, yeah, I've had that. It's great. Like $5 a jar or something like that.
yeah,
It's a good price. Great for dipping. Great for adding to stuff.
Yep.
Great for selling. Great for keeping it away from me.
That's just you. Go back to your dairy products.
Yeah. Yes.
Wait till they come out with spicy milk.
oh,
No.
ew.
We will not carry it.
You can't have I don't think you can have spicy milk because milk is really good. It has all the right fats to break down
You
the
can have spicy
capsaicin
cheese, though.
issues.
So
That's different. That's
I'm sure
cheese.
you
That's
could-
solid.
I'm
You've
sure
removed
that-
a lot of
I'm
the
sure
chunks
you
out.
could. I'm sure you can engineer it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they'll
Challenge
have
accepted.
maybe one of those things where there's like a little bottle along the side that's separate, so that when you open it and you pour it, like two separate
Like a
things
side by
pour.
side.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, there you go. And so then
Oh.
you have to eat it or drink it at that moment
Yeah.
or consume it at that moment.
There was a liqueur I would buy that had two sides, and the idea was you poured so much from each side. We should just do it that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Keep the hot side hot and the cold side cold.
Yeah.
No copyright infringement there, right?
Well, of course not.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. What other events are coming up?
Oh, speaking of Pride,
Mhm.
for Apple Butter, I dressed up as a town crier and was thinking about doing that for Pride if Pride would be.
I heard that there was someone who might be willing to be a town crier. and
I know a guy.
absolutely. We are totally into that.
Okay.
Absolutely. I
Great.
mean, one, I like people dressing up for Pride anyway.
Mhm.
And this year, especially because we're 2 weeks before Halloween, so I really
Right.
expect that we're going to see a lot of dress up.
Yes.
Family friendly, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would love the town crier because you can
Right.
never. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's silly, and that's why it works. It's
Yeah.
a great way to get the word
Mhm.
out. It gets people's attention, and
Yes.
they'll know him for more than something that's just Babs.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm that guy.
Right.
Babs and rings a bell.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
There's a joke in there I'm not going to tell, but I will. That's different. But yeah, kind of a reminder. Yes, please come out to Spencer Pride. Dress up because it's almost Halloween. Keep it family friendly because this is a family event.
How
We have-
about Aztec style hot chocolate?
Oh yes, yes.
Aztec style hot
Mm,
chocolate.
yeah, that's good. It's basically make your hot chocolate with like red pepper in it. I'm
Okay.
oversimplifying it, but that's kind of what
Okay.
it is. If you can take a little bit
Mhm.
next time you make brownies,
Yeah.
believe it or not, sprinkle in some red pepper in there.
So we've done that at home, like some of those like really good like chocolate brands where they'll have like a hot version of
Mhm.
it, and so
Yeah.
Jacob loves making brownies, and so he's done it with like the hot pepper chocolate bars or whatever before,
Yeah.
and it's really great. It
Yes.
really is.
Mhm.
Just that little subtle something.
Not subtle.
So my son is like you. He's like, "Oh, this is too spicy. Like ketchup is too spicy or something." And I was like, "Oh
Kindred
my
spirit.
gosh, calm down."
Jeremiah wrote a short film. We made it, and it's called Spicy. And it's this girl. She goes, grabs some granola bars, gets ready to go do her jogging, grabs some snacks, does her little run. Halfway through, opens up a bar, bites into it, and spits it out because it's spicy. And they flash back to her picking up the container of granola bars, and you happen to see it was right next to hot pepper sauce.
And that's what made it too
And that's
spicy.
all it was too spicy for someone in the Midwest.
Got it.
I've got
Okay.
a couple more episodes lined up to
Yep.
be filmed at some point.
Yep.
A a couple goes on a date, and at the end of the date, oh, I had a really good time. Maybe we should do this again. Well, goodbye kiss, and someone starts freaking out. It's like, what'd you have for breakfast? Oatmeal. Well, what'd you have for dinner last night? I skipped dinner. Well, what'd you have for lunch? Chipotle. Oh, it's too spicy.
Yeah. So, if you haven't figured out, I like doing comedy, and so does he.
Yeah, that's a good combination.
So that's most of the stuff that's on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Now it's mostly podcasts and my silliness. So.
Well, I'll say if folks come out, they're going to get a lot of different kinds of entertainment during Pride. We start with a magic show, actually, at noon on the Tivoli main stage.
Mm-hmm.
We will have Dakota Mucky and the Trip, so kind of punk rock band. We'll have Pride of Indy Jazz Ensemble. We have the Cortland Men's Chorus. We'll have Tret Fury, really great lesbian like folk singer, probably the best way to describe her. Really,
haven't they been here before?
a long while ago, yes. Okay. But really great cult following, so I'm excited to have her back. And of course our drag show. We've got some great entertainment lined up in the community center as well. Yep. Some of it interactive, kind of almost karaoke-ish. So it's going to be really great, and a lot of kind of local performers as well. So I mean, it's just a great lineup there. Plus lots of inflatable fun to do as well. Mm-hmm. So you can come, not spend any money, do inflatable fun, do all your live entertainment. Come check out the community center, all that without spending a dime.
I want to say it was 2012. I may be wrong, but we were vending, and it was June, and it was 103 degrees, and we were on the asphalt, right, like really close to where Juniper is, and that we baked that day.
Yeah. It's so interesting this year because our layout is totally different than it was before. So we're we've reserved all 4 streets in the downtown. We're utilizing definitely Main Street. Main Street alone has almost 60 vendors in it. Franklin Street will have all our food vendors, and of course ourselves, and we'll have we'll have 3 different plazas as well, places for people to gather. So because we don't have like the lawn for people to sit out on, although people are welcome to use the lawn, because unless the commissioners are going to stand guard or something.
Isn't that public property?
I think it's public property, but at any moment they may decide that it requires a pass or an application or something.
You shall not pass.
And so
that means I can't pay my bills.
So we're calling it Pride Park because we're not organizing on it. It's just Pride Park over there, so you can hang out. You can do it. We don't organize that space. That would require a fee and a permit, but. But yeah, so we've got our food vendors, and then fully here in front of the Tivoli, and then down to the post office we'll have vendors as well. So it's kind of our layout, but it's so different for us this year because not only is the layout and kind of all these different things there, but then it's also in October. I mean, we're used to like baking in the first week of June, and
we might have to have sweaters, at least some of us.
Right. Yeah. And so all the dynamics of like thinking about all the things that we need to do differently because of the weather is just really strange, but good. And we've had a lot of conversations about do we want to go back to June or do we want to keep it in October? So
I would say wait until after the thing and see what people say.
Thank you.
Because we won't know.
Exactly. So that has been my position. And literally yesterday, someone was like, "Are we gonna?" I was like, we need at least one actual data point. Now, I will say the reasons why people are talking about it is because this is our normal promotional cycle, right? We do everything that we can while everyone's bundled up over the winter to promote what is a very early summer event in the first week of June. And then we go on the road tour the whole rest of the year. We go to every other Pride event. We do Apple Butter. We do all these other festivals and everything. And we tell them all about the fun stuff they missed. And we let them know about next June that no one's writing on their calendars. That's our cycle, is do what we can, have our event, and then tell everybody what they missed. This year, we've been able to tell everyone what they're going to see, and we have told thousands of people at all these events that we've been at. We have given out thousands of flyers, and we had more than 5,000 people at our last in-person event, and we believe we're going to be very strongly responded to this year as well. We will absolutely, even with the return of Apple Butter, we strongly believe we're still the largest event in downtown Spencer, and just the amount of promotion that we've been able to do this year has been really great. Couple that with the fact that college is in session. So normally school's out, and a lot of people, when they're kind of unfamiliar with us, they think, "Oh, you must be successful because you're so close to Bloomington, that liberal town, where all the college students. No. The college is closed, essentially. I mean, like, nobody's there. I mean, there are very few people that are there in the summertime.
Yeah.
None of the organizational institutions. We don't have IU support for our festival typically. And so this year is the first time that college is in session that will actually be having our event. So there's all these really good things and then this nicer weather. And so...
Well, will it be nicer? Because October is one of those, it could be wonderful, 60 degrees. It could be 40.
Well, so here...
and wet and rainy.
The first week of June, I've worn pants for Pride before because it's been cold enough to wear pants. I mean, that's thankfully not the usual, but I've done that. We've had thunderstorms. We've had blazing hot days.
Yeah, I've been to all those.
It's usually not something in the middle, right? It's usually not the nice day.
Yeah.
You know, I think in October, I mean, we've got the chance that it could be snowing. It could be baking. I would like to think, and I'm planning for both. What I envision
is the beginning of fall summer.
I envision we wake up in the morning. It is snowed all night. It's frozen. It starts. Yes. The sun comes out. It melts. We have flash floods, winds, thunderstorms, and by the end of the day, sunny and beautiful. I think it's going to be all of those things because it's Indiana.
You're right.
So you can't plan for one extreme or the other. You need to plan for all of them while you're at Spencer Pride.
Yeah. So I'm now even more excited just to see what's actually going to happen on this. You're right. It's one of those, this could be the perfect weather. This could be the worst weather.
Correct.
And
but either way, it's Indiana, and there's not a moment of the year. And although I've only been in Spencer for 20 years, I've been in Indiana for all 40. And so I am very familiar with Indiana and its weather. And it could be absolutely anything. I don't know of a single day I would welcome hearing if there is a day of the year that's reliably not an extreme potentially. I mean, I just don't think it exists.
February 30th.
And February 30th. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that it's funny too. I always get amused by people when they always are like so concerned. Like, we've been doing an outdoor festival for 15 years. I know what I'm doing. Like, we'll show up at events and like, oh, you're so well prepared. I'm like, we put up 100 canopies. We've been doing this for 15 years.
At least the canopies didn't blow over this time.
we have to anticipate all these different things, you know. And so it's just kind of funny that like. We wouldn't still be doing this if we couldn't figure out that we have to be flexible with the outdoor event, and it's gonna be great no matter what it was or what it is, and that's how it is every year. And I tell our volunteers when we get to the day of the festival, there's nothing else. There's no more promotion to do. There's no more decisions to make to create these great plans. There's no more stuff. All you can do at that point is just host and facilitate a great experience for whoever shows up, whether it's 5,000 people. Or 10,000 people, or 50 people. Yeah. Our goal on October 16th is that going to be every single person who walks into downtown Spencer to participate in our festival has a fantastic, memorable experience. And I don't care if it's 1 or 1,000 or 10,000. I want that experience to be there, and then we as volunteers can be really proud of what we've done. And that's what we focus when it comes to the day of. So.
Yeah. Well, I have no choice but to be there.
Right.
We're vending, and it's not really a choice. This is where we want to be.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to get back in the circuit of doing events again. We're trying to build that back up. But Spencer Pride, since we've been attending it, has always been our main one. So
it's funny because we hear from. I have a really hard time because like we'll get, especially early on, food vendors. You know, they have such an expectation.
Yeah.
They think about things like Covered Bridge Festival and. You know, they want to go somewhere and they want to set up and these highly efficient operations run for 4-day weekends for 2 weekends in a row and make $1 gajillion. And like, so we had a really hard time initially getting food vendors to come out for a 1-day event. And so thankfully we've gotten some really great loyal food vendors over the years. And this year we've got a ton of new food vendors too.
Nice.
Really good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have Sweet Valley ice cream. We're going to have the chocolate mousse. So 2 ice cream places. We've got a macaroon place. We've got, the Hens and Chicks food truck, and they do all sorts of fun adult grilled cheeses.
Yeah, I saw that ad was awesome. So
yeah,
I want to go there.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got like a bunch of really great food vendors and stuff. So, but it's but at the same time, then I'll go to other vendors. Bright Star Glass, for example, they've done us for a few years, and they're also a vendor that's in the community center, and they do Indie Pride as well. And obviously, there's tremendously more people at Indy Pride with 55 or 75,000 people that are there, and yet they do more business at Spencer Pride. And what we hear from some vendors too is that they've vended a lot of places and they find that the people who come to ours are more polite and more welcoming and just more fun, that they have a better experience. And I'm not trying to disparage anybody else, because every event does its own thing, and every if there's a particular thing that you want, there is an event that's just for you that's out there, and I love that. But I really like what we're kind of known for in that kind of small town, welcoming environment, really engaging and really intentional to people that come out. And so I'm always excited to see how our food or how our vendors do, period. And this year we've got so many new vendors as well. It's really amazing.
That's gonna be. How about you? You're gonna be working that day, aren't you?
Yeah.
But you don't go until late. It's a Saturday.
I'll be in there too, and I'll be ringing the bell before that.
Sweet.
I was gonna say, we open at 12. Well, you might be able to do some of the other Pride Week events if you're out there for those.
Well, I think if you do kind of a pseudo opening, that's perfect for the.
I'll try to work something out. I can kind of make my own schedule a little bit.
No, you're not allowed to.
There'll also be some stuff going on elsewhere, and I'll say, so there's one of our vendors called Queer Indiana. They're focused on creating or kind of connecting individuals in the LGBTQ community with nature, and so they're actually doing a queer hike out of McCormick's Creek Park.
Oh, nice.
At, I think 10 a.m. The day of the festival. So there's that going on, and then at Juniper, there's a bird in Bloomington, Charlie Bird, really famous. I think Scarlet McCall, or I probably screwed that one up. Okay, I said it was a birder. Crap. Now I'm not an exotic birder. Okay, I haven't been yet to the places with a scarlet macaw.
This is gonna live forever.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Dang it. But there's a bird, really colorful bird in Bloomington called Charlie Bird, and he goes around with his human companion all the time, and he rides the back of his bike and his kayak and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, Charlie Bird's going to be out in front of Juniper all afternoon, and so that's kind of one example of some of the stuff going on there.
Green-winged macaw.
Thank you. Is that you actually looked up Charlie Bird?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the Charlie Bird? Has he been to any of the others? I swear.
I don't think so. I mean, not formally. If he was there, I definitely did not see him before.
Okay.
But Charlie will be at Spencer Pride this year at Juniper Art Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Juniper is celebrating their 3rd anniversary of being open the day after Spencer Pride, so they've kind of got a whole weekend there with Pride festivities, and she loves the connection to the Pride Festival. Jamie's a little disappointed because she used to have the best view of the drag show from the Juniper Gallery, and now that we moved into the Tivoli, we don't have that anymore. However, she's still really excited about the event coming up, and this will be the first year that we're gonna have a shuttle for the festival as well. Oh,
really? Nice.
Because of course we're in the streets now, so we're taking up a lot of parking spaces, and we also want to be good to downtown residents and stuff. So we haven't started advertising it heavily yet because we kind of trying to keep our advertising relevant to what people need to know at that moment.
Yeah. And
they're not yet at the point where they're asking about parking, and so at about next week we'll start advertising the shuttle. So the Pride Shuttle will run from the Boston Scientific parking lot, so people will be able to park over at Boston Scientific. You can also park at the, like I said, the Owen County Public Library as well. It's either place. But if they park at Boston, they can get on the Pride Shuttle. It'll be running through town and doing loops. It'll hit the library.
What about vendors?
Come back around. What about vendors?
Yeah, where are they going to park?
So you'll see that on Saturday when we send it out. But
Awesome.
I know where you can park.
Right in front of Juniper, actually, on Market Street there.
Yep.
That space is closed off for the festival, and we may do a little bit of an auto show there, but that won't be until after 11. So we're telling vendors, if you come before 11, we'll have it closed off, and it'll be reserved for unloading for vendors. As long as you get your stuff unloaded by 11, then we kick you out, because then we're going to bring in whatever else in. But absolutely, that'll be where vendors can go. And then we're encouraging vendors to park over at the Owen County Public Library at that point.
So how do you think the pandemic's affected Juniper? Because I know Juniper Gallery has been running on a shoestring for a while now. Luckily, I've heard they've had some really good luck, especially with the latest event and all that. They're still here. I talked to her at the beginning of the pandemic, and she wasn't sure if she was going to stay open or not. Have you heard anything? I mean, have you been in touch with her? Obviously, you've been in some.
I mean, I've been in touch with her, but I mean, I don't talk the business aspect with her. We just have general conversations and things. I mean, Jamie's such a great supporter of all of our downtown events, a supporter of Pride. I hope that she continues to be successful and continues to be here. I mean, Jacob and I just went there yesterday, and we were walking out, and it was just like, every time we go there, we just love the stuff that we see. There's so much great stuff there, and it's such a cool character environment. I mean, for those of you who don't know, the Spencer Bright Community Center spent our first year there where Juniper's at, and then we relocated to where we're at now, and then Juniper moved in. So we also feel a connection to that building, and then Jacob's like, I remember, stripping those windows, and, but like, so it's such a great spot. And so I know, it's also been hard too, because Jamie is a firm believer in science and the vaccine and the right precautions and things like that. So I know she's had some challenges with customers, customers who aren't respectful of her requirements for masks. And I mean, I'll say that's, for folks who are coming out for Spencer Pride this year, I mean, we've got a lot of thought that we've put into kind of the COVID precautions. Generally speaking, yes, I recognize that the absolute safest thing on the planet would be to not have a festival. And I keep referring to that as the abstinence-only version, right? The really practical way of just saying, let's just never do this, and then nothing will ever happen accidentally, right? And so it's impractical, and there's so much that's been demonstrated in terms of mental health during this pandemic, of people not being able to get together, and so much of what we do cannot be done virtually. I mean, we tried to do this virtual alternative last year, and I'm glad we did it and we tried it. But the reality is, as we talked about earlier, infrastructure for high-speed internet in our town is crap in our community, in rural areas, in rural America. And so we have better participation outside of the community in places where they could get to it. And it's unfortunate. And that's not, I mean, we want to be welcoming for everyone, but we absolutely want to be welcoming for our most local community as well. So the virtual stuff doesn't cut it, and we've done some hybrid things as well, and we'll continue to do that, because there's an aspect of that can be more inclusive for folks who can access it. But at the end of the day, we do think that we can responsibly get together. Masks will be required for any of the internal venues, so Tivoli, the community center, etc. For some outdoor activities like the bounce house.
Where people are possibly going to be a little more than...
Exactly. We'll have hand sanitization stations around. We are greatly limiting the capacity here in the Tivoli and in the meeting room at our community center where our second stage is. That means less people are going to be able to get to see the performances, so it's kind of hard for us. It was already going to be hard because we're used to 500 to 700 people watching the drag show alone. And I mean, the capacity limit in the Tivoli is 300, and it's going to be 200 for Pride. So it's it's going to be a challenge. So we're trying to offset that. So we're going to live stream the drag show into the community center. So that'll be a little bit of the way we offset it, but it's the right thing to do. And so what we're doing is we've reduced the capacity to allow people to do some social distancing. But the Tivoli, what they're doing is or they have done is block off every other row in order to kind of create the forced social distancing. What we recognize, though, is people are coming to our event, and they're not coming in ones and twos. They're coming in 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 10s, and 15s, right? And so we want people, I don't want people to have to sit 2 rows away from each other. If they're showing up together and they're in that pod already in terms of their environment, and they all know they're vaccinated, and they're hanging out on a routine basis, I want them to be able to be together. Our theme this year is together again, and it's important.
I think the Tivoli is catching on to that, because when they had the film festival, they did change what was stripped off so that larger groups could sit together.
It's probably because of the festival, though. So the same with us is they don't force anybody who's renting it to abide by what they do on a regular basis. And it could be wrong. They could be changing it. But so we basically have said, all right, we still want to create that space though for social distancing, so that you can get away from people who aren't part of your group. And so that's why we reduced the capacity by 1/3, and we want to be able to do cleaning and sanitization between performances, and we don't want someone to come in and sit their butt down all day and take that spot from someone all day. So we're gonna be really controversial probably, but we are clearing the theater at every performance. So there's going to be a queue, a line out front, and we're saying if you want to see a performance, plan to start lining up no earlier than the start of the prior performance. It'll be first come, first serve. When we hit 200 people, that's it. We're not counting people on their way out. There's no re-entries. And so we hit 200. I don't care if 40 people leave. No one else is going in until the next show starts. And so, it will involve people having to think a little bit more. But we've had to all do that during this pandemic, is think more proactively about what we're doing And in that way, they can be assured that they're going into an environment that's been cleaned, that they can do social distancing, and when they're not consuming something in the theater, they'll be able to wear a mask. Now, obviously, we'll have the concessions open. Civilian will also be selling beer in the theater as well. So they'll be selling beer at the brewery as well as at the Tivoli, and so
I keep bringing this up. There needs to be a hole between that wall there.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, for sure.
It's the truth. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, I brought up Juniper because I'd like to see it stick around.
Yes.
Bring us all the way back to Spencer Coffee House.
Yeah.
Something needs to be there. Something needs to occupy that. That is a great building. They put so much in the renovation. We need anything to keep the vitalization moving.
Well, I think the thing is that people, everyone who feels that way needs to go out and spend money.
Yeah.
And while Jamie would love for you to go and buy a big painting, for a lot of us that may not be within our means, and so. But there's the great thing about Juniper is that you can get really reasonably priced art. You really can. But even if you're not looking for art, specifically original works or the prints or things, her gift shop items are fantastic and really cover the whole spectrum in terms of cost. And
absolutely,
so, if you are a local resident, you should be getting your butt out to Juniper on a routine basis to buy something, to attend an event, to do something there. That's how we can vote as a community to try to keep these places around, because knowing that she's making an impact and she's the community cares, and then that the community comes and spends their money there is what makes a difference.
And all the small things count.
Exactly. I mean, she's not a not-for-profit. She's not trying to be a millionaire, but she
wants to make a living.
She wants to keep the lights on,
Yeah.
right? And she wants to continue to be here, and we all want her to continue to be here as well. So it's about showing that in our actions in a routine basis.
I know me by myself. I don't feel I can support this downtown enough. I go when I can to all the different places, and sometimes it's a struggle. It's like, oh, I know I've been to Civilian the last 2 times. Is Jits open? But I'm a single person. If everybody in the community took that same, especially like this man right here loves to support the local places, he will make that effort to go in there.
Exactly.
Make that small purchase. Eat the chicken or the salad. Get something.
Yeah. The hot chicken.
I have
The
a
hot
problem.
chicken.
I have a problem eating small though, so.
Well, you're not everybody. You're just one example.
Yeah.
If we had half the population doing what you do to help with smaller businesses, everybody would be doing better. And when I mean everybody, I don't mean just the businesses. I mean you, me, as well as you.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You keep that money circulating locally.
Correct.
Yeah.
We'll continue to get more it'll just get better and better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's been really great talking with you.
Same here.
It's almost 11 o'clock, so.
Almost.
Wow! Oh my gosh!
Sweet. 2 hours.
Remotely do that.
It's only 15 till 6. We're fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. That clock doesn't appear to be moving.
No, it doesn't.
Got
it. That's our go-to. Oh, we got 15 minutes. We're good. We're good. Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
For everybody listening, this will be available as a podcast. I will post that on Facebook, Instagram, a few other places. If you'd like to help support this place, Time of Your Half-Life at Patreon. There will be other links in the description below. Jonathan, thank you for coming on. We do appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, and
thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll do this again.
And I'll see you at Pride.
You should get the whole family on here.
Oh dear.
You want all 3 of them?
Oh,
it would be an earlier recording, okay?
It would
for
have
Truman.
to be an earlier recording. Yeah,
We
it
can
is a
do
very
that.
strict bedtime. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my! I don't know if I could handle that.
I'll let you think about it.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Right. Well, we'll see you at Pride.
All right. Cool. Thanks.